Toby feels left out. It was springtime on the island of Sodor. All the engines were working hard in the sunshine. One morning, Sir Topham Hatt arrived at Tidmouth's sheds. He had some exciting news. "The new Sodor Museum opens soon," he announced. "Lots of very important people will be coming to the island for the grand opening." "What's a museum?" asked Percy. "It's a place where they put old things so people can stand and look at them," huffed Gordon. "I want you all to look your best, so everyone is to have a repaint." All the engines were very pleased. Later that morning, Toby met James at Knapford Station. "Have you heard about the opening of the new museum?" puffed James. "We're all having a repaint. I shall look wonderful with a brand new coat of red paint." "I've not heard about that," said Toby. "Why hasn't Sir Topham Hatt told me?" "You must have been left out," chuffed James, and he steamed away. That night, Toby couldn't sleep. He kept worrying about what James had said. "Why hasn't Sir Topham Hatt told me about the museum?" he wondered. "Why have I been left out?" By the next morning, Toby thought he knew the answer. He met Thomas at Abbey Station. "Have you heard about the museum?" asked Toby. "Yes," puffed Thomas excitedly. "We're all being repainted." "I'm not," puffed Toby sadly. "But I think I know why. I am a very old steam tram. Maybe Sir Topham Hatt has decided to put me inside the museum." Thomas wasn't so sure. "Why don't you ask him?" huffed Thomas helpfully. Toby looked worried. He was frightened of what Sir Topham Hatt might say. "Must go," puffed Thomas. "Really useful engines are really busy ones." And he chuffed away. Toby thought for a moment. "I'll show Sir Topham Hatt that he can't put me in a museum," said Toby. "I'll show him I'm a really useful engine." Toby arrived at Tidmouth's sheds. Sir Topham Hatt was talking to Emily. "Emily, you must go to the yard for your repaint," said Sir Topham Hatt. Emily was very happy. "Another engine must collect your flour," said Sir Topham Hatt. "I'll do it, sir," said Toby quickly. "Thank you," smiled Sir Topham Hatt. And before he could say anything else, Toby steamed off. He didn't want Sir Topham Hatt to tell him he was going to be put in a museum. Toby waited impatiently at the flour mill. Hurry up, he wheezed. "I must get to the docks as soon as I can." When Toby delivered the flour, he saw Sir Topham Hatt standing on the dockside. He was talking to the dockmaster. Sir Topham Hatt saw Toby. He wanted to speak to him, but Toby steamed off as fast as he could. Later, Toby saw Thomas again. He was pulling Annie and Clarabelle. "I'm off for my repaint," chuffed Thomas happily. "I can pull Annie and Clarabelle for you," said Toby. "Thank you, Toby," tooted Thomas. So Toby pulled Annie and Clarabelle on Thomas's branch line. And while James was getting a shiny new coat of red paint, Toby collected coal cars from the mine for James. And while Percy was having his repaint, Toby shunted freight cars full of stone in the quarry for Percy, even though it was dusty, dirty work. At last, Toby had finished. He was very tired and very dirty. Suddenly, he saw Sir Topham Hatt waiting by the track. Toby still didn't want to speak to Sir Topham Hatt. Quickly, he reversed into a siding. It didn't see that a big rock had fallen on the line. lost my cow catchers, he cried. Luckily, no one was hurt. But Toby's axle and his cow catchers were broken. He couldn't move. Sir Topham Hatt hurried over. "Why have you been running away from me all day?" he asked. I don't want to be put in a museum, Toby said sadly. "Why would I do that, Toby?" asked Sir Topham Hatt. "Because a museum is full of old things, and I'm an old steam tram, and I'm not really useful anymore." Sir Topham Hatt smiled. "Toby, you may be old, but you are far too useful to be put in the museum. You have worked harder today than any other engine. And as Sodor's only steam tram, I have a very special job for you. First, you will have a special polish. Then, you are to take all the visitors to the museum for the grand opening." Toby felt very happy. He let out a great wheeze of steam. "I've been trying to tell you that all day," added Sir Topham Hatt. Toby smiled. He felt very silly. So Toby's axle and cow catchers were repaired, and then he was polished until he looked as good as new. On the day of the museum opening, Toby picked up the visitors at the docks and puffed them proudly to the new museum. Toby was proud to be old, and he was even prouder to be the only really useful steam tram on the island of Sodor.